Winston Churchill and his illustrious colleagues do not hold meetings like this for nothing.
I ask that the Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
As everybody knows, America's reaction to Pearl Harbour was instantaneous. Gone were doubts and hesitations. There began one of the most colossal war efforts in history. Women stepped into place beside their men because Pearl Harbour was a challenge to which there could only be a total response. As in Great Britain, China, and Russia, women vied with men in determination to confound the Axis. It was, of course, a struggle against the whole Axis, Hitler having supported Japan with his own declaration of war. For the second time, American citizens embarked on a war trip to Europe. This time, American soldiers had arrived in Britain to go they didn't know where. To the American airmen, however, Britain was a huge aircraft carrier anchored off the flank of Europe. Very quickly, they began to play their part in a bombing offensive against Germany, which increased in volume every month. They brought a new technique with them, daylight precision bombing. Many people had been skeptical about the possibility of bombing Germany by day. The United States Army Air Force proved that it could be done. And how? America had begun the counter-offensive against Japan in the Pacific. The onrush of the Far Eastern aggressor was stopped in the Solomons. Americans with their Australian allies had gone into the attack. Guadalcanal, New Guinea, New Georgia, names of gallant glory on the other side of the world. And in the European theatre of operations, which included Africa, the counter-offensive had begun too. French North Africa was occupied as a main base in the first of a great series of combined operations. The campaign in North Africa ended gloriously in Tunisia, where the Germans stood and fought, and new American divisions had their baptism of fire. The American soldier learnt the hard way. There is no other way in war, but the sweets of victory, the rewards of a liberating army were his. And in the end, he rounded up tens of thousands of prisoners. In Sicily, in Italy, with his British and Canadian comrades, he is receiving the welcome of a liberator. The second anniversary of Pearl Harbour sees America's military machine swinging its gigantic power into action everywhere. It was the American Navy which took the knock at Pearl Harbour. How good it has been to see the recovery of the Navy from that vicious blow. Certainly the Japs started something on December the 7th, 1941, which will turn to their own ruin. Perhaps they started something else. Perhaps they started an association of two world powers which will spread its influence down the ages. What may not be possible in the future if the British Empire and the United States continue marching together? This is Movietone.